Yeah, so I'll say I don't have a lot of perspective from the financial institution side, right? So I won't comment on that. I think from a macro perspective, I'll say that we have a very good track record in this country, right? Of of running the economy and going through cycles and some really tough cycles from a real estate perspective with very well contained delinquency rates. And this kind of speaks to just the much more conservative nature of our lending standards in Canada and the much stronger regulatory regime that we have in Canada. And other, I mean, technical factors like we have full recourse on lending across most of this country, so that's a big differentiator versus what we saw in the U.S., for example, in 2008, 2009, where households were just leaving keys in the mailbox, right? We don't have that in Canada, right? And and I mean, to your question on OSFI, look at what we've done over the last decade. We've seen a steady stream of tightening the screws on mortgage lending standards in Canada to the point now where when you walked into the bank in 2001 at the height of housing froth, and you were borrowing at 1.5%, you were probably still qualifying at 5.25. And at the time, I remember a lot of people were asking the question, well, why are we qualifying at such a ridiculous rate when mortgage costs are 1.5%? Well, it's a good thing that we did because a lot of those mortgages are rolling into rates that they fortunately have been stress tested at.
Mhm.
So I think there's a lot of resilience built up into the mortgage market, and it's kind of goes back to what I said earlier, where there is going to be some fallout from this, but I think it falls more on the discretionary spending side rather than on a wave of delinquencies that really has a big impact on the real estate market. Now that said, I mean there was a big investor class at the height of the boom that maybe bought a lot of pre-construction inventory and stuff like that
Mhm.
that never had the intention of closing. We're seeing some stress in that area of the market now, and I suspect that as a lot of that comes to completion, we're going to get that flipped onto the resale market, and there will be pockets of investors that do get hit pretty hard, but it's not a widespread economic issue at this point, I don't think. No.